Hey everybody, it's Chuck. Well, we have had a lot going on this year, or this week, with FSD. A lot of releases. I just got home last night from New York. I had version 12.3.1 pushed to my car on Sunday night, and have not been able to drive it till this morning. Many new users are getting version 12.3.2.1. I have not received that yet, and it sounds like from some people that know some people on the inside, we're going to be doing a little bit of A/B testing, maybe until the weekend. So I figured I would get out here and just knock out a good benchmark drive on 12.3.1 before 12.3.2.1 comes out this weekend. On my Memorial Park First Impressions drive. So this includes most of the basic elements of many of my videos in just kind of a continuous conversation drive. I speed up the parts where I'm not talking or nothing happens, and then we just kind of get through it. Usually the total drive is about 40 minutes, but I usually compress the video down much less than that. So if you're interested in this thing, we start off with an unprotected left turn, a U-turn. One dynamic, it is raining today. It's a light rain, and it's a light enough rain that I don't think FSD will disengage, but we are definitely going to have some perspectives of different, the pavement being wet and a drizzle, the auto wipers. Unfortunately, my 3D camera, my 360 camera on the top is probably going to have some droplets on it, so it may not have the best perspectives of all of the turns and everything as I go through. But we will go ahead and start this drive as soon as this car here initiates the turn. I'm at a stop sign right now, and I'm just going to engage it at the stop sign and see where we go. And I'm already getting the FSD may be degraded, but it did let me engage it, and we're going straight for the unprotected left-hand turn here. And we'll see what we get. It is 8:50 in the morning, so I might have missed rush hour by about a half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see what we get here on traffic for this unprotected left turn. We do need to wait. Okay, we're way out here. I got a small gap here if it goes for it. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Okay, I don't know why it poked its nose out and then decided to stop. That was not where you could have stopped. It started creeping and the oncoming car was coming. I'm just gonna engage here and see if it'll continue. It's wide open to the right. So I don't know. It was a small gap. I needed it to commit. It started the roll and then it stopped, but it felt like my nose was in the road or very close. Without the drone view, there's really no way to be sure. I'm gonna go ahead and edit my trip. See if I can get this out of here quick enough to do the U-turn. I think I got it rerouted. It should do the U-turn right here, and it's mapping that perfect. Okay, so I'll just leave this here, and we do have the oncoming traffic I wish I had for that first unprotected left turn. But we do have another car over here to the left that has his left blinker on, so that car should be merging and doing his unprotected left in front of me, and we're just gonna map out this U-turn here and see how it goes. A whole lot going on with me also. So for those of you that hadn't watched my videos in the last few weeks, I did take delivery of my Cybertruck last week. Of course, it does not have FSD, so I'll be kind of splitting up content for FSD drives like this one with the Cybertruck. Okay, I'm gonna pay attention here. Okay, we got a nice U-turn here, but a semi is coming. Okay, so it started to creep and it rethought it. That was the right decision to wait, but it was making me nervous. I mean, I knew there wasn't a gap here. Here's a very large gap and it's going for it. Okay, kind of slow. It's taking its time. It does not like that radius to turn. I would have liked a smoother, quicker turn. Maybe it was recalculating whether or not it was going to make that turn or not. But in any case, it did that just fine. I'm not going to complain. The gap it chose had plenty of time to go that slow. So, in any case, in the rain, you can see the windshield wipers going pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a degraded mode here. A little bit of spray coming off of this truck in front of us. But to the point of our auto wipers working, right now I'm saying they are working pretty good. It's obvious they need to be on. Previously on version 11, sometimes they wouldn't even be on in situations like this. Okay, the route now has us taking the car to the narrow road scenario on Birkenhead with some very large speed bumps and the previous narrow roads. In my opinion, narrow roads has been fixed. I didn't have any issues on my first impressions drive on 12.3. it'll be interesting to see if we get any traffic, and or if that traffic is having any impact in the rain, or is the rain providing any different scenario. I'm very comfortable with how it's handling this big truck on this road. We don't have that kind of truck on here a lot, but the spray, the decision to go around ahead of our turn up here to the left was all very good. And so far the speed feels pretty good. I do have it in auto speed, as you can see up here next to the speed limit sign of 45. And that felt good so far. I've got many other roads where we'll double check on the speed to see if it's hanging out too far below the speed limit sign. There are some reports from other testers that I communicate with that have said 12.3.1 didn't completely fix the speed. And I think that is maybe why we have a .2 or a .2.1 release, in addition to the fact that Elon tweeted that he wanted every vehicle to be able to have a 1-month free trial this week. I have a feeling that is the primary reason behind this major push for all these software builds this week. But hey, that should really help sell FSD. Version 12 is really, really much better than version 11. You know, I do always want to cautious, if you're new to FSD, if you're just out there trying it, please just, it's not full self-driving yet. It will feel like it is, but please don't let your guard down. Don't get complacent. Be prepared to take over at any time, because it usually hits you when you least expect it. So, especially in high-speed cross-traffic scenarios. If you're in low-speed areas, a lot of times you have more time to deal with a situation and to take over. But if you have high-speed cross-traffic, just put your guard up. Okay, I'll leave that public service announcement there. Oh, we might have a train scenario. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh, we just got a green light. Oh, this is going to be interesting. We got a green arrow, but there's a train coming because the bars have not come down yet. Oh, I'm going to get stuck here. Oh, no. Now, that light's yellow. What's going to happen? Oh, my gosh. I can hear the train, but we're going under it. Wow. Oh, we just missed that scenario by about 2 minutes, maybe even 30 seconds or so. Okay. Narrow roads is what we're doing right now. So it does look like we have a little bit of oncoming traffic today, which is good. I have a lead car, which might change the dynamics here. Maybe we'll see if he gets a little further ahead of us. This creep might give him some distance here as we creep up and look left and right. Okay, it's clear. I would go now. A little bit later than I would have gone, but that's okay. No more oncoming cars for the moment. And here's our first speed bump. And all the way down to 14. Very good on that. No problems. I'll pull up my rear camera here. Oh, look at that. Look at that water droplet on that camera. So this is a major reason why Hardware 3, in my mind, will have a very difficult time taking the driver out of the seat. Listen, guys, it could probably get to level 3 as long as I can take over. But I can't get out of the seat with a camera that can get like that with a sprinkle. I mean, yeah, there's some mechanical ways of getting out there and wiping it off if you had a customer, but in my mind, these cameras can't be self-cleaned. Things like this happen all the time in the rain. That's unusable for a rear camera. So I don't know. You guys can debate that all you want. Everybody keeps expecting me to change my mind on the camera placement because FSD's driving so good, but the actual hardware locations have not changed. Here's a good oncoming car scenario. We're going to get one of these. Didn't even flinch. So like I said, narrow roads has been fixed. Not complaining about that at all. Looks like we're going to get one more car at the same time as a speed bump. This used to just figure it. Yeah, it works really, really good now. So, okay, no more issues there. Next is a unprotected left turn into a suicide lane or through the suicide lane. My experience to this point on version 12 is that both directions have to be clear if there's not a raised median. So we do not have a raised median here, so it will wait on both directions to be clear, and then it will go straight through the suicide lane. It should not use it. We have a lot of traffic here, left and right, so I'm just going to kind of hold the screen here for you to see the traffic from the left. I do have another car in the suicide lane. You can actually see him mapped here on the visualization. But the reason we're waiting right now is because of traffic from the right, which might be annoying the Jeep behind me. Okay, it's creeping. It's creeping, and it might go any second now, but it's going to have to deal with this other car. Oh, God. See, I would be going to the suicide lane, but it's not gonna do that. Let's see if it goes here. If it goes here, okay, is it gonna wait? Oh my gosh, is it waiting? Okay, so I had to disengage because it was jumping into the lane in front of that car. So it did the right thing, but it should have stopped in the suicide lane, not... He cut him off. I don't know if you could see the scenario that happened there, but it would cut off that car because it got jammed into a situation and it ran out of room. It should have waited in the median like it does on the unprotected left turn back at my street where there's a raised median. It was driving in the suicide lane as if it was a lane, but it just forced itself over instead of being polite. It was running out of road in front of it. That's why it was forcing itself over, but it should have just stopped and turned the blinker on and waited. So there's 2 disengagements so far. I'm calling that one much more critical than the first one. While the first one was an unsafe, unprotected left turn commit in my mind, it may have stopped right on the edge of the road, but it was way too close for me, and I wasn't comfortable with the way it handled it. Okay, we got an unprotected left turn here with no arrow. Oncoming cars are coming over this bridge here, so it's having to kind of time the oncoming cars. It should be able to see them fine. This forward-facing camera usually has a really good view, and these decisions are usually pretty good. The gaps it shoots for are usually pretty good. It's not always perfect on the commit, but it's going to get this one just fine. So it's got this car here, commit. Okay, that was just fine. No issues there. And it didn't overcommit there, meaning like it's going kind of slow. All right, so this may be our first kind of speed limit scenario here to kind of watch this. I'm on a 30 mile an hour marked 2-lane road. I got a good white edge on the right and a double line in the middle, and it's choosing 35. So it's not doing the 20-25 thing. Oncoming car here, it shouldn't have any issues with that or even change its speed. Maybe for the curve here, it changes its speed a little bit. Maybe it slows down to 32, 34 there. Okay, that's fine. So this auto speed on this road feels very, very comfortable. I do have a truck kind of right behind me, and he's kind of on my tail a little bit. So, he is acting like he might wanting to be going even a little bit faster than this. I'm going to have to edit my trip again. All right, I think I got that in there. All right, so this is actually feeling really good on the speed control. Perfectly fine with 5 over on a small road like this with houses. I'm getting a lot of driving degraded alerts here, interestingly. And the rain has actually sort of stopped. So I'm curious why I'm getting so many pings on that. So I've edited our route here a little bit to get up towards our Memorial Park portion of the drive. And it's going to be a lot of this kind of speed managed kind of neighborhood stuff, which I'll just kind of keep quiet for a little bit unless we see another interaction. Maybe speed it up. Okay, so now, right after those speed bumps, that railroad track we went over, there was a big body of water in the road we had to go through, a couple geese on the right, but now the speed has kind of come down a little bit. But what you notice here is I've lost my really good solid yellow line. Let's see when the solid yellow line picks up here, if it gets more comfortable. So now we're back into the solid yellow. Let's see if it picks itself back up to where it was. See, it's staying kind of in the low speed regime. I don't know what took it down. Now it's creeping back up. It was a confident 34, 35 before, but now here we are hovering underneath the speed with fairly wide road here in this section. Not a great yellow line. It's definitely painting one that's better painted than what I'm seeing on the road. Yeah, so maybe this is a little bit of the speed control still being here problem. Very slow for that 90-degree turn. I'm okay with that really, really slow movement, but it was slower than I would have probably gone. It did use the blinker for what was really a kind of a left turn. I couldn't really go any other direction. All right, We are now back on a portion of the road that my traditional Memorial Park drive has always had, where we're going through the traffic circles. We got the S-curve. We got a bunch of things like that to go through for historical comparison's sake. So you can see that there, but I'll leave the screen up here. We've always had these parked cars over on the right, and now that on the newer versions we have auto park getting improved, it'll be really interesting to see if anything with this high definition visualization changes with these kind of parking spaces over on the right side of the road here. I'm not seeing markings or anything like that. Definitely mapping the cars just fine. Okay, slowing for a car that wants to take a left here. I'm glad it's not trying to pass to the right. That's really not what you're supposed to do here, even though there was room. All right, plenty of room here. Let's see what the reacceleration curve is. Okay, not bad. I'm glad it's not going 20 because that speed limit feels incorrect here, and it's going 30, so that speed feels about right. Okay, our first traffic circle is coming up. These are very small traffic circles. These are not Carmel, Indiana traffic circles. There used to be stoplights here, and they just kind of replaced them. They do all have yields. Very large truck that we should have the right of way and should not stop here. Okay, that was good. Speed feels okay, and it did that just fine. Very good. Traffic circles seem to really be an improvement in this version. So this part of the traffic circle where we essentially shouldn't even yield because there is no yield sign. I'm just coming around and then staying to the right. That worked good. On my last Memorial Park drive, I had to kind of change the route there, so I didn't get a good test of how that was working. Okay, so now we're on the S-turn, the S-curve. Last time the blinkers did not come on like they historically had on all previous versions. So that issue was fixed. Not really looking for that. Kind of looking for speed here. 30 is the speed limit. It's going 26. It feels comfortable. I mean, maybe I could be going a little bit faster, but I don't think I need to. There's a lead car up in front of me that I'm not really gaining on or getting away from, so he's doing the same speed here. Do have a cautionary warning sign there. It says 15, so it's just kind of flashing, warning it. I didn't see any speed changes there to slow to 15. This is where the blinkers used to turn on, and they're not turning on here, which is great. So that's another huge improvement with just the end-to-end vision version 12. All right, as we go through this portion, it should just go straight through this little town, village. It's got a lot of pedestrians and parking cars certain times a day. Don't know if we're going to hit any of that. It's kind of rainy, so I don't expect to have any bikers or joggers out like we normally might this time of day. Sometimes the risks are cars backing out with their blind turn. You see how these cars would have to come out very slowly and use their rear cameras if they had one to determine if it was clear. We have green lights here, so we shouldn't be stopping. We should be proceeding a little bit faster. I was almost acting like I was leaving a gap there. Okay, so now I'm going too slow. I was almost going slow enough to make those cars think they could have turned left in front of me. But hey, that was how I felt. Whether or not every driver would have done the same thing, I don't know. Pedestrian out here to the right, he's not in a car, but you can see the mapping. Doesn't look like anybody has their lights on to reverse out of here. And this car in front of me is being very cautious, almost like he's looking for parking. Oh, there's a car in front of him too that you can't see in the visualization because of the lack of radar. We can't see through vehicles on this version of hardware. I do have a radar, but it's been turned off. This is a Hardware 3 Model Y from 2020. All right, so now we're back again on a good speed. Back to 34 with a lead car, perhaps giving it some indication. Well-marked lines, plenty of road space. This feels good. Yeah. Okay, coming up on this left-hand turn, It's always been a good planner test because it turns left into 2 lanes and it has to do an immediate right. And the perfect turn kind of blends over into the right lane as quickly as you can. Let's see if it does that. It's perfectly. Okay. A little slow, but there was nobody behind me. The car in front, was giving it a good pace. So that turn was very, very good. See, this car right in front's doing a right on red. A nice look there. Let's see if we end up doing the same thing. A nice full stop all the way to 0. And we got the green and we'll proceed. Yeah, so that was perfect for that type of planner lane change intersection. Didn't have to deal with any other cars or anything like that, but it did the right maneuver absent any interference. And it had a lead car. Little bit aggressive. Oh, it almost got in the wrong lane there. And I would argue I'm now tailgating this guy. FSD used to never tailgate that close. Now it's slowing down. That was an interesting little acceleration curve there. It fixed it, but I was almost confused as to what it was doing. It might have been the fact that it thought it was going to go around that car, recognized that was a right turn only lane, and then it slowed back down with a slow deceleration curve. And honestly, that might be exactly what that was now that I think about it. Its correction to its tailgating scenario was very smooth, which means it took time for it to evolve to get the distance it wanted. Instead of applying an aggressive brake there to recreate the distance, it just slowly decelerated back to where it wanted to be. So like I've said many, many times, FSD 12 is really, really smooth. Even the fuck-ups are smooth. And you can quote me on that. So that's why I'm kind of harping on this complacency thing. Don't get complacent because it'll even do weird things very, very smoothly. Okay, we got the yellow light here. Looks like we're going to be the second car in line. And hopefully it'll go down this turn that is mapped here, that I've got mapped, and we'll be able to flip it around and set our route back up to our return scenario. And we'll get a little bit more driving in just to see if anything else evolves. If you remember last time, the car got stuck and I had to go down there and do an amazing U-turn scenario in a cul-de-sac that worked out perfectly. I'm curious why it's light blue there. Let's see what it does here. I do have, I think, a pin in my my waypoint that I use for this drive. It's doing it just fine. Got the blinker on. Let's see where it goes. Oh, look at the remapping it's doing. So this is where FSD 12, looking for parking, is doing some remapping. Okay, it started to pull over there, almost like it was going to park. And then, so let's see what happens here. Actually, if it's just going to do this, oh, it didn't turn there. Oh, it's going to park. Let's see. So that remapping was premature. Hey, that was good. It pulled over right next to my pin. It stopped in a good spot. That's exactly what I would want. So let me just go ahead and throw in the FSD return here. And, oh, well, I didn't even, oh, we got a car coming. Let's see if it does it. FSD was still engaged. I never disengaged it. So just by giving it a new route, it, oh, wow, pulled right out of its spot and proceeded on. So that's when this car feels like the planner and the neural network is getting towards to destination, beginning to end, with the driver in the seat. Meaning like it knows, it's getting to know how to get out of locations. I've never done this part before. I've always done a U-turn back there, so I'm just going to let it map its route here. It's going 14 and a 25. Not sure what is making it go that much slower. I'd probably going about 20, 22 here. So this feels unusually slow. See if it does a blinker here, even though it's a kind of just a left turn. Okay, it didn't, so that's fine. Hey, it might have been doing this speed. Now, I don't know why. I was going to say because it was looking for a planning route to get out of the parking location, but it's got it perfectly planned. It's just driving 14 and a 25. If there was a car behind me, this would be annoyingly slow. It's almost like I'm looking for a parking space kind of a speed here, waiting for something to open up. All right, I did this last week. This big oak tree creates a weird, unique situation to where the B-pillar can actually see better further back. The further it creeps up, the more this oak tree is an impact. So actually right here is where it has the best view, not all the way up there at that creep line. So right now it's clear to the right and to the left, and now it's committing. So it did a really good job not going to the creep limit because it knew it had the view it needed. That is where I really start to get impressed and kind of go, wow, you know, it had the view it needed, even though the creep line is the previous logic it used to improve its view left and right. I love those kind of moments to where it sees its scenario and takes the best of both worlds, even though previously in version 11, it just was programmed to creep up to the line to make its decision. So that was another great scenario. Tesla AI, I'm going to comment on you right there. Good job. And if that was just emergent from adding videos, keep adding videos because more of those is better. That was an interesting scenario where there was a lot of water on the road, and I didn't know if it was going to treat that water as drivable space or not, but it drove straight through that water with the right wheel, even creating that spray, which is a lot of water, right, if you're creating spray from the road. So I'm glad it's not scared of large pools of water as if they were not drivable space. Obviously, there's a little bit of inference there to make sure it's not a pothole, right? In certain light conditions, pools of water could look like, potholes, but it's not hesitating at those at all, which is very, very good. Okay, coming up on a scenario I like to talk about here, there's usually a car parked right here on this turn, and the car can be comfortable crossing the yellow line at times, and it didn't need to there. But in that scenario, on this specific road, when there's a lot of cars parked on the right, I've seen and watched how the car has changed its evolution of being able to use the drivable space and even crossing the yellow line if necessary. It didn't need to do it there. Here with this trailer, it went all the way up to the reflectors on that one with oncoming cars. Very comfortable in that narrow situation. Didn't slow down at all. Recognized it had the drivable space it needed. That was good. Flashing yellow light, that time it was represented as red the entire time, which is an interesting scenario. Usually it only turns red when it goes right above me. That time, in these lighting conditions, it visualized it as red the entire time, but it did not even act like it was a red light. So there definitely is a difference in what's being shown on the screen versus the way it behaves, because obviously if it was a flashing red light, it should have stopped, but it didn't act that way. Okay, so here we have a slight merge, and it did start slowing down, and it just really slowly went through a very large puddle, but as it approached the stop sign. So not really sure if it slowed down for that puddle or the stop sign, but in either case, it was a good speed for what it did here. A lot of pooled water over on the right side of the street, but the drivable edge seems to be fairly solidly marked here, which is good. And a nice, smooth, protected left turn, unprotected left turn with no oncoming cars there. Smooth interaction. That was, couldn't have done it better myself. We do have a couple more flashing yellow lights to give you just a few seconds of heads up on how these are working. As you can see them through the camera probably, and then watch how they start to appear on the visualization. That one did show yellow, yellow, and then red right as it goes above my car. And here, see, those are showing red. The whole, okay, mostly red and a little bit of yellow there. So a lot of confusion on the inference. Not sure if it matters as long as the car understands it, whether they visualize it correctly or not. They got a lot of work to do on representation on the screen if they're going to do it for railroad tracks and lights and crossbars with flashing lights. Right now, they just represent everything that is flashing as a traffic signal, even if it is not. Okay, we are going to go through a school zone that is no longer in action. So school is already in session, but it is one of those that when the lights are flashing, you're supposed to slow down. I don't think we're going to get any symbology here to show that. I didn't see any before. I'm just kind of showing you the screen here. And here's the speed limit, 15 when flashing right above me. And you see it is seeing the traffic signals that weren't showing. So if I still need to come out here during the school zone time frame and see how that will behave. So here we're going around the traffic circle halfway. We do have yields on this direction. It's always, it's going to do just fine with the traffic scenario it's encountered there. It didn't have to even make a decision other than the speed. It did use its blinker there. Some people say, I guess that was right because we were exiting the circle, so no complaints with that. All right, and we should be turning, following essentially the direction that these two vehicles in front are going, and then we're going to turn to the right. Should go this way, and that was just fine. Okay, I think it's worth commenting here that we just passed a Tesla going the speed limit, and it's choosing 4 over 49. I'm comfortable with this speed, very comfortable with it, but I thought it was interesting. We even had a few other cars that were going slower, so it chose a speed faster than adjacent Tesla vehicles even, as the speed it wanted to go on this nice 6-lane road. So that was just another interesting data point to file in here on how version 12 is handling it. Okay, let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. For those of you that stuck with me this whole time, first of all, thank you. Don't know how long this video is going to end up being, but just so you know, it's right at about 40 minutes now, unsped up. What did we get to see today? First of all, the weather conditions. It's rainy, misty rainy. Had weather degradation warnings the entire time, but it never stopped version 12 from functioning. That has been my experience with this amount of rain, that if you can get it engaged, it stays engaged. But the windshield wipers never made it not allowed to be turned on. Auto wipers seem to be working fairly consistently. I don't think I noticed any time where I was uncomfortable with it wiping too much or not enough. So I'll say auto wipers were better. I'm not going to quite say they were perfect yet because I wasn't focusing on that a lot. The major disengagements we happened today were both with high-speed cross-traffic scenarios. The unprotected left-hand turn right at the beginning of the video was an uncomfortable commit with a gap that was decreasing in time, and I didn't feel the commit was there. And where it stopped was not where I felt the car was safe. The second one was into that suicide lane where it actually pushed over another vehicle that had the right-of-way when it was running out of space, which was unacceptable in my mind in that scenario. It should have waited in the suicide lane. So Tesla AI, it looks like you might need more clips in suicide lanes and merging out of those scenarios. Because while you committed, even when both directions were open, the scenario collapsed where it was no longer open for you to go. Other than that, there was a lot of really good behaviors in the narrow roads and the other sort of city streets time, scenarios in the suburban roads. The speed does feel like it's hanging a little lower than it needs to still in some scenarios. It's never going too fast, I would say. It's always a little too slow. So in any case, I think that this is a good data point for version 12.3.1, as 12.3.2.1 is in many of your hands. So you guys might not even watch this video because there's newer software out there. And that's okay, because this is now a record in time for people that are interested in seeing how the progression has happened. And oh, by the way, I love driving the car. Or watching the car drive as I supervise it. In any case, thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this comment, leave a leave a comment below. And thanks for all the hard work to the Tesla AI team for continuing to evolve this software in what is really, really turning out to be a pivotal and transformational moment in autonomous driving. Have a great day, everybody.